This is kind of an interesting story. There's a Missouri woman, and she's receiving a multi-million-dollar arbitration award from her former sexual partner's car insurance provider, believe it or not. And that happened because the man gave her an STD when the two had had sex in his Hyundai. All right, so this for the Washington Post. In the case of a Missouri woman who said she caught a sexually transmitted disease after having sex in a car of a Geico member, the state's appeals court ruled this week that the insurance company needed to do more and now potentially owes her millions of dollars. Now, typically car insurance covers things, well, like accidents, injuries. And this is definitely an assault if he had a sexually transmitted disease and he did not disclose it before they engaged in sexual contact. But this case definitely seems like it is really kind of beyond the bounds. So a Missouri Court of Appeals upheld a $5.2 million judgment on Tuesday involving a Jackson County, Missouri woman who said she unknowingly caught HPV, that's the human papillomavirus, during unprotected sex in the luxury sedan of a former male romantic partner back in 2017. And to the extent you may not be familiar with HPV, it can cause genital warts, also various cancers. And it also happens to be one of the most common STDs in the United States. According to the National Foundation for Infectious Diseases, 80% of sexually active men and women will be infected with HPV in their lifetime. Now, despite HPV's prevalence, well, the woman who is identified only as MO wasn't going to allow this man, who is identified as MB, to get away with effectively assaulting her. The woman alleged the Kansas man had been previously diagnosed with HPV, but did not tell MO about it or take measures to prevent transmitting the virus to MO. At a gynecology exam about a year after the relationship began, the woman was diagnosed with HPV according to court records. So the woman contacted Geico and demanded $1 million in damages for negligence and negligent infliction of emotional distress, which is very common in terms of claims involving torts. And at first, Geico was not having it, putting the blame on the woman. We know this also per the Post, that after Geico investigated the claim, the insurance company argued that the man told the woman that he had been diagnosed with HPV positive throat cancer, and that the man was not diagnosed with the STD before 2017, according to the court documents. When the insurance company denied the settlement and said the woman failed to prevent her STD infection, the case was sent to arbitration. In May 2021, an arbitrator sided with MO and awarded her $5.2 million in damages to be paid by Geico. And Geico added that their client's insurance car covers car stuff, and then they were not willing to give up. So Geico argued that the judgment didn't fall in line with Missouri law, claiming to the court that the man's policy covered injuries that only came out of the ownership and maintenance or use of the auto. And the company also claimed the injuries to the woman, identified in court documents as MO, arose from an intervening cause, namely her failure to prevent transmission of STDs by having unprotected sex. But of course, in a published opinion this week, the 3-judge panel sided with the lower court against Geico. This is very, very interesting. I will definitely say that this is exactly what this kind of company gets for having arbitration clauses, because hey, it didn't work out in their favor and they're stuck with it.
Yeah, so there's two different parts to this, Adrian. So one is the arbitration part, and I'm super happy that this happened to Geico because of this, which I'll explain in a second, because I'm not sure. I want you all to understand that it's really important, okay? And then there's the initial part, which is her suing for 5.2 million. I'm not sure, like let's find out if we agree or disagree on it. I think her claim is totally absurd. I think that the fact that they had the sex in the car is incidental to the car. I mean, could have had the sex anywhere. And now all of a sudden Geico owes $5.2 million. I think that's totally nuts. And you said it was assault because he didn't tell her, but Adrian, like you read 80% of sexually active people have HPV, so they might not even know they have HPV. And so it depends on the fact pattern, but wouldn't that make every car insurance company liable for any sex in any car, given that 80% of the sexually active Americans have HPV?
Okay, so first, it is definitely assault. If you know you have an STD and you do not protect someone or you do not let them know in advance so you can get full consent, you're looking at assault. And it is also something that is a chargeable offense in most states. So you can get prosecutors to actually prosecute for it, even though it's not. And this is something that kind of came out of largely the AIDS epidemic and trying to hold people accountable. But it also extends to HPV. We saw it in herpes with Usher. He ended up being held to task and sued civilly. And I definitely agree with you in terms of the car being incidental to the sex without question, because it essentially means that if I have sex with someone in my own home and or in their home and they transmit a virus to me, what am I gonna sue State Farm for my their homeowner's insurance policy? This is absolutely wild. And I do believe this is a product of you got the wrong arbitrator. You got the wrong arbitrator on the wrong day. And because the courts have set up, it's been structured such that arbitration verdicts are so difficult to overturn and reverse, that this is a product of capitalism creating a system by way of the little people not being able to win, and they drew the wrong arbitrator, and that little person won to the tune of 5.2 million. And so maybe Geico will stop the shenanigans and nonsense, but I actually see them appealing this all the way.
Of course, look, I don't blame them for appealing. If I was in their shoes, I would appeal the living crap out of it. I mean, every car, every house, like you said, that guy, the State Farm guy that drops out of the homes and the tree falls on him and stuff. And now they're gonna have to do an ad where, he's got HPV, and then all of a sudden they got to pay off insurance. That's in my opinion, the judgment is totally nuts. But I want to distinguish it from, look, Adrienne does a legal segment for us on Rebel Headquarters called Overruled. She's just telling you what the law is on assault, right? And so I want to be clear on that. But now, the reason we're celebrating Geico losing this, despite the absurdity, is because, guys, they put arbitration clauses in almost everything now. And almost all the arbitrators are corporate lawyers. Corporations have an unbelievable win rate in arbitration, and then you're screwed. You can't take it to a court. And a lot of times, it's like in standard language, you sign it, and they're like, ha, you go to arbitration, you lost all your rights. And they win almost all the time. But now in this one case, where they lost, they're like, wait a minute, I can't take it to a court? Well, this isn't fair. Well, exactly. Then why'd you put it in all your contracts? So Crimea River, I love that you lost the $5 million.
Yes, this is, I find this verdict or this judgment to be absolutely remarkable. Also too, we really got to give it to the plaintiff's attorneys here, because that is a novel approach to go after the insurance provider, because no one would really do that. Of course, you cast a very wide net, hoping to rope in the biggest pockets possible. But at the same time, to think to actually go after the insurance provider it's kind of mind blowing. And so I know that litigator is definitely very, very happy with the outcome. But again, I see them appealing this all the way through, and every other insurance company and all their money, they're gonna come out of the woodwork filing briefs against the judgment and the whole deal. And so I don't know if this ultimate judgment is going to be able to stick.
By the way, it's a win-win either way. So if Geico loses, you shouldn't have put the arbitration clause in there that you normally use to crush the little guy, right? But if they win, that might invalidate all the arbitration clauses. Because if companies can ignore arbitration, why can't people? So that might turn out to be a really important case, Adrienne.
That would be awesome. The only thing that I'm not too much in terms of confidence in is just how our US Supreme Court is completely unraveling things and making it up as they go, not adhering to precedent and just coming up with whatever they want. And so I could definitely see them finding a way to make it the exception, or all of these things that just tell you we don't have that reliability and that consistency that we need to actually have a functioning justice system.
Yeah, and then finally, you're right about the plaintiff lawyer. I mean, I hadn't even thought of that, right? I mean, if Johnny Cochran was the Michael Jordan of lawyers before, he was OJ's lawyer and but before OJ did wonderful, incredible civil rights work, okay? But see, he was an inarguably amazing lawyer. If he was Michael Jordan, we were wondering who the next star was gonna be. This guy's gotta be LeBron James. I mean, winning this case, wow. This guy's got to go. And
this arbitrator will never get hired again, not by these big companies.
Yeah, and
this was their last hurrah.
That's right. Look, the guy should instantly go into the Lawyer Hall of Fame. Okay, but Adrienne makes a good point. Now the corporations will say, no, we don't want that arbitrator. And that's how they select arbitrators that'll rule only for the corporations. So that's why the arbitration clauses are so problematic. And so it depends on the contract that they're in, and it depends on a lot of things. Do you have equal power in the contract? In which case, if you both agree to the arbitration, that makes sense. But oftentimes it's used with unequal power to discriminate against the average person. And once you lose the arbitration in a system that's rigged against you, you cannot go to the courts. That's why it's usually incredibly unfair. And that's why we love this story where finally the injustice is against the corporation and they scream, "Why are you grabbing me? Why are you grabbing me?" Well, pretty sure that you hit us first.
Yeah, for real. And I'm afraid my car insurance premiums will go up, but that's okay.
Okay, well.
All right. Cool.
And you know what? They could have just, they didn't have to go through all these proceedings. They could have figured this out in 15 minutes or less.
Very good point.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.